Hello everyone and welcome to the Thanksgiving special. I am so excited to share these 8 brand new, amazing, delicious recipes with you all. I've been working very hard on them the past few weeks and I am so glad to finally be giving them to you. I designed these recipes in my mind as a whole menu. So if this is your first vegan Thanksgiving or you're having a vegan Thanksgiving or whatever and you don't know what to make, you can just make this whole menu. It will go together seamlessly. But you can also just pick and choose from what you want and you can make it a la carte. In this video, you're getting 2 appetizers, a main course, 3 side dishes, a dessert, and a drink. So I have you fully loaded, ready to go, and ready to just go enjoy Thanksgiving. As always, the full written out recipes are on my blog. Check the description box down below. It has links for the recipes. It has links for anything you may need for the recipes. It has the ingredients written out. It has everything you want to know. This is going to be a bit of a longer video because we have a lot of recipes in here. So if you would like to jump around in the chapters, I will have that down below as well. All that being said, let's get into it and let's make some delicious recipes. This twisty pizza bread braid is so easy to make and it's going to be a beautiful appetizer for your Thanksgiving meal. So we need a pizza dough. You can use store-bought, you can get it from a pizzeria, you can make it yourself. I'm literally using one from the food store. I just buy a bunch of them and I keep them frozen. It's great to have on hand for tons of things. And then we're going to divide the dough into 3 balls and you want them to be as even sized as we can get them. They don't need to be perfect, but as close as we can. And then we're going to lightly flour our surface and we need a rolling pin. Now we want to work with 1 dough ball at a time. And we are going to roll this dough ball out into a nice long rectangle. We want it to be relatively thin, but we are looking for something between 12 to 16 inches and we want it to have a little bit of width in there as well. So we want a nice rectangle that we can work with. And we're going to repeat the process for every single dough ball. So I'm just going to show you one and then you'll just repeat the process for all 3. If your dough takes a little bit long to roll out, don't worry. Sometimes it just gets sticky and a little resistant. So don't worry if it takes a few minutes to roll it out. It'll get there eventually. Then we're going to take some vegan mozzarella and we're going to lay it down the middle of our rectangle. You can use any brand you like. I am using Follow Your Heart. And because I'm using shreds, I definitely want to make sure I put those down first. It'll make it easier for rolling the rectangle up. And then after I got the vegan cheese in a good spot, I'm going to go in with sauce. I am just going to use some store-bought Rao's. We're keeping it very simple here. You can use any store-bought sauce that you like. You can make it yourself, but my idea with this was when you're cooking Thanksgiving dinner, there's a lot going on. It sometimes is easier to use pre-made things and just have something simple, quick, easy that can get done. So I laid the sauce down very carefully on top of the vegan cheese and then I just spread my spoon back and forth to make a nice layer of it. Now we are just going to roll up this rectangle of dough and we want to roll it up on top of itself and make a little sort of a log shape, and we want to roll it up as tightly as we can. We just want to make sure everything is really tucked in there very well. And it might get a little bit messy. That's okay. It happens. We're cooking, but we want to make this as tight as we can. So do this slowly, carefully. Just take your time. It doesn't take as long as you think it does. And there we go. So then you repeat the process with the other 2 dough balls. Now, I should have actually really done all these next steps on what I was going to bake this on, like on my baking sheet, but I didn't. So put it on your baking sheet before you do this, either with parchment paper or a silicone mat. So I'm going to attach them at the top and then I am just moving my strips around to make sure the dough is loose and it's not sticking or anything, that I'm not going to have any problems. Now we want to take a serrated knife and we're going to cut down the middle. This is going to open up the dough and make a beautiful inside layer. Use a serrated knife when you do this because it has a better shot at cutting the dough open. Our dough gets soft and a little bit wet. It can be hard for a non-serrated knife to go through, which is what I was experiencing here. Okay, now we're going to braid. So we're just taking an outside piece, putting it in the middle, taking the other outside piece, putting it in the middle, and you just kind of repeat the process until you have made a braid. It's not hard to do. If you can braid hair, you can definitely do this. And then I just twist up the end and push it together. Now you can leave it like this, but I thought it was much more fun to turn it into an S shape. So I just moved it around and put it on top of itself, and there we go. Now you can take your knife and just cut in anywhere you feel like you want to try to open up the dough, but you don't have to do that. And now we're going to put this in the oven, 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 to 25 minutes, depending on your oven and how it bakes. But we want this to come out nice and golden brown, and let me just tell you, it's going to smell amazing. I mean, it's just pizza in a different form. Now, I don't think you need to do a lot in terms of garnish here. A little bit of dried parsley is more than enough, and this is great to have out when guests get to your house right away and everyone's kind of filtering in. Some people might be looking for something to pick on while they're having a drink, and it's really yummy, it's delicious, and it's super easy to make, and it will be very impressive because look how beautiful this is. People are going to think you are a bread master. This salad was so good. I actually am still not over it. I need to make it again immediately. So the first thing we're going to do is take a pound of Brussels sprouts. We're going to trim their little ends off, and then I'm just going to look at the leaves and see if there's anything yucky, any dirt. I will peel them back. I'll cut off any parts that are bad, and that's it. We're just prepping the Brussels sprouts like this. Now, we're going to shave them, and the easiest way to do that is to throw them in a food processor. We're not dealing with a mandolin. We're not dealing with thinly slicing them. Just put them in a food processor, takes a few seconds, and it's done. Much easier than doing this by hand and risking an injury. And then what we will do is we're going to transfer all of this into a pan. So we're going to add a little bit of olive oil. We're going to add in those shaved Brussels sprouts, and we're going to do a little bit of salt and pepper. Very simple. We're going to cook the Brussels sprouts on the stove for about 10 minutes until they get warm, until they're soft and cooked down. And while those are cooking, we're also going to toast some hazelnuts. While that stuff is going on the stove, let's make our dressing. We need the juice of 2 lemons. I like to put a little sieve so I don't deal with any pits getting in my way. And then we're going to add in agave, or you could use maple syrup for sweetness, and some olive oil. Add in a little bit of salt and pepper, and that's it. It's super simple. It's very delicious, and the acidity and the sweetness really complements the whole dish really well. Give it a nice whisk, set that to the side. Our Brussels sprouts are cooking up. They look really good. It's also nice when they do get a little bit of browning on them, and this salad is nice when it's kind of served warm. And I'm also going to give my hazelnuts a little shake and get them nice and toasty. Then I'm going to chop up some apple. You could use any apple that you like. This was a golden delicious or something. We got it apple picking. I never know what apples we get when we go apple picking. I just pick them. And then in a big bowl, we're ready to assemble. So we're going to add those cooked Brussels sprouts, the chopped up apples. We're going to go in with those toasted hazelnuts. And I leave a tiny bit of each of these toppings so I can sprinkle some extra on top so it looks really pretty. And then we have craisins as well. I'm also going to grate some vegan parmesan. I'm using the Violife one, and that's it. We'll add a little bit of our dressing, and then we'll save some dressing to drizzle over top when we plate this up. Give this a nice mix together, and like I said, this salad is delicious because it's warm. It's warm from the Brussels sprouts and the hazelnuts. It almost melts the vegan cheese a little bit. It's so good. I could not get over this salad. Add a little bit of salt and pepper to taste, and you are done. Everybody is going to love this salad. Like, seriously, I just couldn't stop eating it. I wanted to eat it all the time. It was so good. When it is time to plate, just get a nice big serving platter and put it on there. Once I get the base of my salad looking like how I like, I'm going to add the rest of those toppings that we had set aside. I like to do this. It makes the salad look really beautiful because it's just ensuring those little things are right on top. So I think it's nice to save them and use them in this way. And also, we're going to top it with a bunch of vegan Parmesan cheese, and it was so good on top. Seriously, so good. Load up the vegan Parmesan. Don't be afraid. I grated it very small, actually, so it was really, really tiny, and it just melts in your mouth. And then you'll add any remaining dressing over top. If you want to add another crack of black pepper and sea salt. And this salad is great because there's a lot of flavor, a lot of texture going on. It's very beautiful, but it's still going to leave you room for the other courses coming up. We're also getting some veggies in there, some nuts, some fruit. So it's a really yummy one. I think you guys are going to love it. I love breaded tofu. I don't think that's a secret if you watch my videos, my channel, see my recipes. And this is kind of an upgraded version of a recipe I put out many years ago for Thanksgiving of a breaded tofu cutlet with gravy. So we're going to take a block of super firm tofu. I'm going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to cut those halves into nice rectangle cutlet-y pieces. Now, we're going to do something new. A new to me technique that I've been doing is the boiling of tofu. We're going to boil this in veggie broth, and then we're going to add in some lemon juice. We're going to go in with a bunch of seasonings, And then we are also going to add in some herbs. I'm using a poultry blend here, so it has sage, rosemary, and thyme. You don't need to add in so many herbs, but you want to add in at least a sprig or two of each of them. And we're going to boil the tofu in here, and it's going to add such nice flavor, and it also adds some color to the tofu. And it also helps it to just have good texture. It's kind of like you're pressing the tofu without pressing it. So I'm going to place it all in the pot, and then we will give this a little taste actually, because there's really nothing wrong with tasting it. This will help you know if you want to add in salt or not, because I was using a homemade veggie broth with no salt in it. Definitely had to add in some extra salt. Bring this over to the stove, let it come to a boil over a high heat, and then you'll just let it boil for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it does a lot of great things for the tofu. Then you will very carefully remove the tofu from the boiling liquid, and you're going to put them right in some panko breadcrumbs, or any breadcrumbs that you like. I actually wish that I had ground these breadcrumbs up a little bit. They were kind of big, but it's okay. They came out delicious. And because the tofu was wet, the breadcrumbs should really just stick okay. You can kind of pat them down with the fork and they should mostly stick. If some fall off, that's okay. They were extra that just weren't meant to be on there. So you'll repeat the process with breading all of the tofu. And then once it's all breaded, I'm going to spray it with some spray oil, and then this is going to go in the oven. We're going to cook this at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 minutes until it's nice and golden. Now, all that extra broth that we have, we're going to first remove those herbs, and then I'm going to mix cornstarch and water to make a cornstarch slurry, and we're going to turn this liquid into a gravy. So then you're just going to add the cornstarch slurry in there. You'll bring this back to the stove, and you'll cook it again, whisk it, cook it on a very high heat, and there you go. Now you're going to have a very easy homemade vegan gravy, and as it cools, it will thicken, and you can really let this cook for as long as you like. Some people like their gravy a little thicker, some people like a little thinner. It's totally up to your preference. Now when the tofu is all done, beautiful, crispy, golden, and to plate it up, I like a nice big dish, and I just like to stack the tofu sort of all on top of each other. And I do like to add some of those fresh herbs on top. I find that thyme is very beautiful, and rosemary. Also going to add a little salt on top, and this is delicious. I think it makes for a great main course, and I think it's really easy to make. It's not very involved. Like I said, when there's a lot of things going on, we want all these dishes to be kind of easier rather than harder, because all the meal comes together in the end. So with the gravy on top, it is delicious, so good, so cozy, and this pairs really well with some sweet side dishes, and it's just so good. I love any sort of breaded tofu. I mean, it really can't be beat. I know a popular side dish at Thanksgiving is green bean casserole, but I'm personally not a fan, but this cheesy green bean bake is so good. So we're going to make our cheesy sauce using a base of white beans. I just drained and rinsed them. Then we're going in with vegan cheddar shreds, carrots. We're going in with non-dairy milk. I'm using Ripple Pea protein milk. You could use any non-dairy milk you like, nutritional yeast, and salt and garlic powder. We're going to blend this up to make a delicious creamy, cheesy vegan sauce. It should blend up very easily in a high-speed blender. So this is a great way to make a cheese sauce without any cashews. Now I have my string beans in my little baking dish, and I'm just going to cover them in this amazing cheesy sauce. If you would like your string beans to be on the softer side, you can boil them for a few minutes beforehand, because they will be a little bit crisp still. Then we're going to add on lots of vegan Parmesan. I'm using the Violife one here again. We're going to cover this baby up. And then this is going in the oven, 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. I love that this is simple and easy to make, okay? Because again, you're making multiple dishes on a holiday. You want some of them to have simplicity. After it comes out of the oven, looks like this, beautiful, golden, crispy, delicious, and this was so good. And I'm sorry, but so much better than green bean casserole with all those typical things that are in it, that cream and mushroom soup and all that. The Parmesan on top is so crispy and delicious, and this is a great way to enjoy a lot of veggies, fiber, so it's a really great side dish for the holidays. Growing up, my favorite Thanksgiving side dish was sweet potato casserole with marshmallows, because of course, what little kid was not excited to have marshmallows on their table at dinner, okay? So we're going to take sweet potatoes and we're going to peel them. I used 4 medium-sized sweet potatoes, and we would definitely want to peel them because we don't want any skins in there. Then I'm going to cut it into slices, and then I will cut that either into quarters or 6 pieces, depending on how big the slice is. You don't need to make these very small. You just want to make them small enough that they cook decently fast. Then we're going to put these in a nice big pot, and then we will cover them with water and let everything boil for about 20 to 25 minutes until those sweet potatoes are nice and fork tender. Once they are fork tender, you're going to drain out most of the water, but we are going to save a little bit, about 1/3 of a cup, 1/4 cup, and we're going to mash these sweet potatoes up. They should be very soft, very easy to do this with the back of a fork, or you can use a potato masher if you have one, but back of the fork works totally fine. That is how we've always made mashed potatoes in my house. That's how my mom always makes them, so I'm a back of the fork girl. Okay, once we've got this looking nice and soft and fluffy, we're going to go in with other ingredients. First, we need some vegan butter, then we need some organic brown sugar, cinnamon, salt, and then this is vegan yogurt. You could use vegan sour cream or vegan yogurt and some non-dairy milk. The vegan yogurt adds in a little hint of acidity and tang that really complements the whole dish really well. Then I take a whisk and I mix everything up, and we have these beautiful, amazing, whipped up vegan mashed sweet potatoes. I'm going to transfer these into my baking dish, and I'm going to take a spoon and I'm going to spread it around evenly within the baking dish. This is a small one. This is like a 6" by 9" or something. It's not very big at all. And then, of course, we have to top this with the star of our show, our vegan marshmallows. I am using the Dandies brand. You can use any vegan brand that you find, but the Dandies is probably the most popular. And then these go in the oven, again, 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 to 12 minutes until it is golden brown and beautiful on top. And that is it. That is all a sweet potato casserole like this needs. Of course, if you want to add in other things, you can go in with the pecans and stuff, but I think the simplicity of just this with the marshmallows is perfection. So good, so delicious. I have a confession for you that I do prefer box stuffing mix. However, this craisin and leek sourdough stuffing was so delicious. Now, for the bread, I got a sourdough boulé and I'm going to cut it into cubes. Ideally, you would love to cut this into cubes 1 or 2 days before you're going to use it and let it sit on the counter and get nice and hard. I didn't do that, and I feel like that's a step that most people forget or don't account time for, which is no big deal, because then after you cut everything into cubes, you can pour it onto a baking sheet and pop these in the oven to get nice and crispy. Pop them in the oven around 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. They will get crisped up just fine. If you have the foresight to cut them ahead of time, great. If not, no worries. So while those are in the oven, we're going to work on our other things. So first things first, this is a leek. Look how beautiful this leek was, okay? So unfortunately, we have to cut that top part off because that's not edible, and then we're going to cut the bottom off as well. So we're really not left with that much leek. We're going to cut it in half, and normally leeks are so dirty. They are filled with silt and sand, but I could not believe it. This was one of the cleanest leeks I've ever seen. It was so clean, it did not help me for showing you guys how to clean a leek. But so basically, I'm going to slice it up nice and thin, and then I'm going to transfer it into a bowl. Now, you would add in enough water so that the leeks float, and what you do is you gently shake, and the silt and sand will float to the bottom of the bowl. I had nothing to show you guys. This was the cleanest leek I've ever seen in my life. I could not believe this. So that's how you'd clean a leek if there was dirt. Then I just chopped up a shallot, and I thought the shallot would add a lot of nice flavor here. And then I'm also going to chop up some herbs. I have sage, thyme, and a little rosemary. And I'm just going to cut those up really small. Not too herby. I don't like a lot of herb. Just a little touch of herb. A seasonal, nice amount of herb. Then we're going to put this all into a pan with vegan butter. And you can also do a little bit of salt and pepper if you like. We don't need to cook this for very long on the stove. We just want to cook it for about 10-ish minutes until the leeks are softened and everything starts to smell really fragrant, and it'll smell so good in your house between the leeks and the shallots. It's going to be amazing. So now it'll finally be time to make our stuffing. So I have a little baking dish here, and I'm going to add in that crispy bread cubes that we made. And then we're going to go in with the leek, shallot, herb mix. And we're also going to add in some craisins for a little nice sweet touch, and also to just add something else to our stuffing. Then we're adding in vegetable broth, and we're just going to Mix this around, get everything coated and sitting in the broth. And then the last thing that we're going to do before we put it in the oven is we're going to add a little bit of black pepper and salt, and we're also going to add some vegan butter on top. The vegan butter on top just adds nice flavor, of course, the saltiness of it, but it also helps the stuffing to get a little bit of crispiness on top, and it's so good. And I'm really glad that I used a sourdough bread. It adds a really nice flavor to your stuffing. Of course, if you want to swap it out for typical white bread, cornbread, anything you like. This goes in the oven, 350 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 40 minutes until it's really nice and golden and crispy. And this is so delicious. When it comes out, it'll look like this. And I love stuffing. It wasn't until a few years ago that I really realized that stuffing was just bread cubes, and that's why I love it so much. And then to serve it, I would just add a little bit of fresh thyme on top if you want to add another little extra sprinkle of salt and pepper, but keep it very simple. It's stuffing. It's supposed to be simple. And oh, I just love stuffing. It's just so good. And I love the leeks in here with the craisins and the shallot. It just has a lot of really good flavor going on. It's really, really yummy. Now it's time for dessert, and we're making a pear pecan crumble vegan cheesecake. Now, I could not find Kite Hill or Miyoko's plain vegan cream cheese, so I made my own vegan cream cheese. I've showed you guys how to make this recipe before. It's very simple. You just bring some pea protein milk to a boil with lemon juice. It'll curdle. You separate the curds out, then you add it into a blender with a little bit of salt and nutritional yeast, blend it up, store this in the fridge, let it kind of cool down a little bit, and then you've made your own homemade vegan cream cheese. You will need 16 ounces, 1 pound, 454 grams of vegan cream cheese. So you just need to make a double batch if you decide to make my recipe to get you that amount. Now it's time to work on our crust. So I'm just going to take 2 sleeves of graham crackers. The Nabisco brand does not use any honey, so you can just pop that right in the food processor. And then we will use the food processor to break it down into nice little crumbs. And after it's broken down, you're going to add in some melted vegan butter and a little bit of water. We will give this another pulse, and it just turns the texture into that wet sand texture that is really great for making into a crust. For our pan, I'm going to use a springform pan. You can use an 8-inch, a 9-inch, a 10-inch, whatever you like. The smaller your pan, the thicker the vegan cheesecake will be. I like to take a piece of parchment paper, I pop it right in the bottom, and then I rip off any excess. And I also like to spray it with some spray oil just so I don't have to worry about the vegan cheesecake that I'm working hard on sticking. Then once I got most of that parchment paper cleared away, I'm going to pour out all of the graham cracker crumbs, and we will just use our spoon to first spread it out, make sure everything's evenly dispersed, and then you can use the bottom of a flat glass to really pack and push down those crumbs to make a nice crust. Now for our cheesecake mixture, we're going to take organic sugar, silken tofu, and then we're going to use that homemade vegan cream cheese. Like I said, my preferred brands are Kite Hill and Miyoko's. Those are the ones I always recommend you to use, but the homemade one works really well too. And I was kind of even more proud to say I made this because I made the cream cheese from scratch too, which was pretty cool. A little vanilla extract and just blend this up. You want everything to be nice and smooth and the sugar to be broken down. Then we will pour this into our springform pan. And then the next step is going to be that we have to chop up some pear. So I did peel the pear beforehand, and then I just cut it and chopped it up into little tiny pieces. I really wanted to use a pear here because I feel like pears are the forgotten fall fruit. I feel like they get so overlooked, but they're so delicious, and I'm using Bosc pears. So then I will put that on top of the vegan cheesecake layer. And then the final thing is that we're going to make our crumble topping. So we need all-purpose flour, or you could use gluten-free all-purpose flour. Then we need organic brown sugar, the pecans, and vegan butter. And we will use a fork to kind of cut the butter into the flour. To be honest, I find the best way to make any crumble topping is with your hands. So just nice clean hands goes fine in there. It's going to bake, don't worry, but just wash your hands well. But it just makes those really nice big crumbs when you do it with your hands. And that's like the best part, is nice big crumbs. Then we're going to add that crumble topping all over the vegan cheesecake and make sure it's evenly distributed and spread around, that every single part of it is covered. And then from here, we're going to bake it. We want to bake it at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 50 to 60 minutes, depending on your oven. The way to know it's done is that the vegan cheesecake should be, of course, golden and beautiful on top. But also, if you give it a slight jiggle, it should move a little bit. It should have a little bit of movement in it and not be so stiff. So now I let this chill on the counter for 30 to 45 minutes, and then I cover it with foil, and then this goes in the fridge until the next day. Now, the best part about this vegan cheesecake, or any vegan cheesecake of my recipes, is that they get better the longer they sit. So you can make these 1 to 2 days in advance and really save yourself some trouble on the day of Thanksgiving. We will cut a nice piece of it, and I don't think this needs much on top, but I do think a little bit of powdered sugar goes a long way. I think it looks really beautiful. You can make a glaze if you want. Oh, look at those layers. They're just stunning. But there's already a lot of flavor and sweetness in here, and I don't think a glaze is really needed to complete this dessert. I think the powdered sugar just makes it look beautiful. It gives it that slightly elevated touch, and your guests will love this. Plus, who doesn't appreciate when somebody has made a homemade dessert like this? Because it's a lot of work, and even though it's not hard to do, it's still a labor of love, and it is beautiful. And now, of course, we got to take a bite of it. For a fun and easy drink, this apple cider mocktail really hits the spot. So we're going to first start by making a rim on the glass. So we're going to stick our glass in some maple syrup, and then we are going to turn it around so we can coat the rim really well. And then we will dip it in some cinnamon to give a nice cinnamon rim for the glass. You want to keep this glass stored upside down until right before you're ready to make individual drinks. Then I'm going to add some apple cider and some vanilla extract and ground ginger into my little measuring cup, mix that up. You could give this a taste and add in more or less of each ingredient to make it how you like. I'm going to take an apple and I'm going to make nice thin slices. These are going to go in the drink and also on the top as a garnish. And you could use any apple you like. I do feel like the apple with the yellow skin looks better here. It doesn't stick out as much, but if you want to use a red one, it'll be beautiful too. So when it's time to make the drink, I'm going to add in a ton of ice cubes into my glass. I'm using a pretty high glass here. I think it looks nicer that way. Then I'm going to stuff in my little apple slices and just get them kind of pushed in a few spots. You could do 3 to 4 slices. Then we're going to add in our apple cider drink that we made, and we're going to top it off with some vanilla seltzer. Now, the real fun part of this drink, I do think, is in the garnish. So we're going to make a little apple fan. We're going to add in a cinnamon stick and a star anise. And I think it's going to look so beautiful, and it's easy to make, and it's really refreshing and delicious. You can add in liquor to it if you want. But I definitely like to make mocktails. Everybody can enjoy it. And if you want to add in alcohol, you can, but you have a beautiful drink that is suitable for everybody. Okay, everyone. And that was our Thanksgiving special. I really hope that you enjoyed these recipes. I hope they help you out, and I hope they give you inspiration and just what you need as we start off the holiday season. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. If you try any of these out, please let me know. Tag me on Instagram. Let me know in a comment on the blog, on YouTube. Send me a message, send me an email. I don't care. I just love to hear back from you guys. Thank you always so much for being here with me. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for commenting, engaging, liking, subscribing, all of it. I am so thankful for all of you, and especially you guys who are here with me every single week, who are repeat watchers. I know who you are, and it means the world to me. So I hope you all have a beautiful Thanksgiving if you're celebrating. Otherwise, just make these recipes, eat them. They're delicious. And I will see you soon as we get ready for more holiday recipes.